This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. In association with Haversley, experts in the sale of lettings, estate agency and block management businesses. If you're thinking of selling now or in the next 5 years, get in touch. They're a friendly bunch at haversleygroup.com.
Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on New Horizon Radio. And on today's show, I'm talking about The Roses, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, The Thursday Murder Club, Rob Rinder's latest novel, and why my obsession with ABBA continues after nearly 50 years. And my guest is best-selling rom-com author Carole Matthews. A little bit about me for new listeners: dopamine dresser, personal stylist, lover of the arts, but I'm not highbrow, and a menopausal mum of 2. And Cineworld Milton Keynes, The Roses is showing, which is a modern reimagining of the 1981 film War of the Roses, and Benedict Cumberbatch and Olivia Coleman star as Theo and Ivy, an outwardly successful couple whose marriage collapses with career reversal. What did I think of this movie? I had such high hopes. I really, really did. And they are outstanding. I mean, I'm a fan of both of them, huge fan of both of them. And the fact that it works is because they're British. I think that satirical, sharp, sarcastic, biting wit that they both just seem to exude in abundance is what makes it so utterly brilliant. So basically, Ivy is a sort of stay-at-home mum, and she's kind of like, she's a very talented chef, but her fortunes haven't, risen yet. And Theo is an incredible architect, a little bit pretentious, and he's got this vision for this incredible sort of ship at a dock, and and everybody said it's not going to work, it's not structurally sound, and he's no, this vision is incredible. Anyway, long story short, he builds this beautiful piece of it's an incredible piece of architecture, and a storm comes in and blows it all to smithereens, basically, and his career is blown to smithereens at the same time. And you can see him falling apart before your very eyes as it's kind of a metaphorical sort of aspect of his marriage, and his personality is just. He's just devastated, understandably so. So you watch the structure collapsing, and he's collapsing, and he's being videoed, because that's what everybody does on social media now. Everyone loves the drama, so they're videoing him while he's going, "Oh my God, it's going to be okay," and then he's completely melting down. And then off the back of that storm, everybody goes into Ivy, his wife's restaurant, because there's nowhere else to go, and they're rerouted. And from the fact that she's only serving like three or four covers a week and only open like 1 or 2 days, she's becomes hugely successful overnight, and she's got food reviewers in, and she's getting 5-star ratings for her food, etc. So her career is on the ascendant, and his is descending at sort of the same level. And obviously in a marriage, that's not a good thing. Obviously it's hugely emasculating for a man anyway to see his wife just soar like that. But I think and the fact that they had a really good marriage to start with, but you think, well, did they really? Because the fact that they weren't able to withstand this kind of level of pressure when it all went Pete Tong was really, really quite sad to watch. He becomes a house husband, and he's looking after the kids, and he's having to take their knits, de-lice them and take them to school, and they've got these really sort of talented athletic children, which he's pushing, and they get an athletic scholarship and go away to school, away to college at 13, and then they're left with each other, and they just hate each other, and it's just awful to see this marriage collapse, and the insults and the way that they treat each other is just, you just sit there going, oh my God, I actually can't believe what I'm seeing. But it's beautifully filmed, and it's all very aesthetically pleasing. And I say Ivy is hugely successful and being courted and by the best sort of chefs in the world, and everything is amazing for her. And she loses sight of the fact that he's doing all the donkey work at home with the kids, and that's never going to end well. So not only is it a really sad picture of a marriage collapsing, and having been in a marriage that has collapsed as well, not for those reasons but other reasons, it is really sad to see any sort of relationship in its demise. But I think what I was really disappointed with was the fact that I'd seen all the best bits in the trailer, and I've seen the trailer about 4 or 5 times. So if you've not seen the trailer, it's an amazing film, because it is an incredible film. But if you've seen the trailer, I honestly swear those are the best bits. So I don't know why they do this. I don't know, the movie makers show all the best bits. I know they want to entice audiences into the cinema, because, the cinema is, pretty much empty every time I go, which is such a shame. But if you're going to show everything, you're not going to get bums on seats, or people are going to come back. People are going to come watch a movie, and they're going to be like, well, I'm disappointed. I saw it in the trailer. I'm not going to bother next time. So movie makers, I'm sure you're not listening, but if you are, please make the trailers a little more enticing, i.e. show a little less, and we'll want to come and see your movies. And a couple of weeks ago, I saw at Milton Keynes Theatre Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical. And it's the premise is that teenager Percy Jackson discovers that he's a half-blood son of the Greek god Poseidon, and is plunged into an epic adventure where the future of the world hangs in the balance. It's based on the fantasy novel by Rick Riordan, and they were made into movies which weren't apparently very faithful to the books, but the books were apparently hugely successful. And my son Benji is of that age. He's 25, so this was his thing. I kind of went because I wanted to see how he felt about it. So he is of that age when these books and movies were really popular. And honestly, I went as someone who knew absolutely nothing about it. I went with a completely open mind, and oh my God, it was absolutely incredible. I really enjoyed it. For me, musical theatre should be about bringing joy. And even though I had absolutely not a Scooby-Doo what was going on, I sat there with a grin on my face the whole way through. It was utterly joyful. I describe it as Dear Evan Hansen on steroids. It really is a fabulous show. And Vasco Amaeus, who plays Percy Jackson, is outstanding. He's just so likable and has just got incredible vocals. And again, if you resonate with the main character, you're going to be invested in the show. And I think for me, that's why I wasn't a big fan of Dear Evan Hansen, because he's not a very likable character, that you're not kind of rooting for him and willing him to sort of have a happy ending, really. So this was an extraordinary show. My son absolutely loved it, and he actually, as a musical theatre performer, as someone who's trained in performing arts, he's very hard to please. And he stood up, standing ovation straight away at the end, clapping, applauding, going, just the full whoop. And for me, that brings me such joy to see him enjoying it. And as I say, I didn't have a clue what was going on, but it is a fabulous show, great vocals, incredible cast, and it is Percy Jackson is touring the UK. And last week I went to see at the Stables, and I hadn't been to the Stables since before lockdown, and it was so lovely to be back there. Actually, I'd forgot what an incredible little venue it is. I went to see ABBA Forever, a tribute band. And I'm thinking in my lifetime, I was trying to work it out, I must have seen at least 15 to 20 ABBA tribute bands, and I've seen the best. I've been very spoiled. I saw Beyond Again when I lived in London many years ago. I've seen them 3 or 4 times, and they are the #1 ABBA tribute band in the world. They are absolutely phenomenal. Interestingly, they're Australian actually, and ABBA in their heyday were so loved in Australia. They did a tour of Australia sort of in the late 70s, and Australia welcomed them with open arms. So it seemed only fitting that an Australian band plays such incredible homage to them. But my love for ABBA, for those of you who don't know me, I am absolutely ABBA obsessed. I mean, I have loved ABBA since I was a little girl. I remember singing into my hairbrush, "Thank you for the music. I'm the girl with the golden hair." I was anything but the girl with the golden hair. I was the ugliest child in the world. I had a pudding bowl haircut. I think my mum used to put a bowl over my head. I had a massive gap in my teeth. I had a monobrow. I had loads of freckles. I was honestly so ugly, but in my head I thought I looked like Agneta with the long blonde hair, and I used to sing into the mirror and just pretend that I was her. And I think that's the ABBA is so magical. They've been so magical in my life for such a long time. And as I say, my love affair with ABBA started when I was very, very young, probably 10 or 11. And my love affair with ABBA has just grown and grown over the years. And if there's one band I would love to have seen in my lifetime, it's ABBA. I would love to have seen Queen as a very, very close second, but ABBA would have been my ultimate. And I was very, very lucky a few years ago. I got to see ABBA Voyage, which was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. To go and see a show with actual ABBA, the avatars. It's VR at its best, and you forget that that's not real. It really does feel like ABBA. And I remember just standing there, just being so overwhelmed and so overcome, and just crying with just sheer joy, thinking, never in my lifetime did I ever think that I was going to see ABBA. It is an incredible show. If you've got the money to go, it is absolutely phenomenal. We had so you've got two options. You've got the dance floor, and then you've obviously got the seats. We were on the dance floor. I personally wouldn't recommend. We were like this on the dance floor. There's not much room to dance at all, and ABBA begs to be. You have to dance to ABBA. So I would say with the seats, get a seat, or if you're lucky enough to afford a box, get a box, because you can really move around. But ABBA Voyage is incredible. I've been to Mamma Mia the Party, which is incredible as well. You get a meal, and it's like being a Greek taverna. So it's not Mamma Mia as the musical. It's a variation of the theme, and so everybody dresses up, and you can dance afterwards. But it does feel like you're in a Greek taverna. I did love it. It's very expensive again. The food's not amazing, but I did have the most incredible time. And I've also seen Mamma Mia the musical 15, 17, 18, 19 times actually. Again, always loved ABBA. I've always loved Mamma Mia the musical. When I first heard that Mamma Mia the musical was being made, I cannot believe how lucky I am that that this is everything I've ever wanted in a musical, and it never ever fails to disappoint. And then imagine, to my utter joy and surprise and fulfilling of all my dreams, when my son landed a part in Mamma Mia the musical in Hamburg. So he graduated Performing Arts College and went straight into Mamma Mia in Hamburg, and playing the part of Pepper, which if you're a big Mamma Mia fan like me, you'll know that Pepper is the cheeky young lad who tries to get off with Tanya, and he sings "Does Your Mother Know?" And it's a fabulous part, and it's the part my son was born to play. Really fabulous. Although it's slightly disconcerting seeing your son trying to get off with a woman who's closer to your own age than is probably appropriate. But interesting seeing Mamma Mia in German, because obviously I know all the words to every single song, and then obviously you're sitting there thinking, I know what you're singing, but it's in German. So that was kind of weird, but amazing. So such a proud mama moment. Sorry, see what I did there. But I've seen Mamma Mia in London, and I've seen it tour as well, and it is the most fabulous show. And the reason I think for me that the music of ABBA endures this long is that the lyrics are just so incredible, the melodies, and everybody thinks ABBA is easy to sing. Everybody thinks, oh yeah, karaoke, I'll get up and I'll sing an ABBA song. Be very careful. It is really difficult. There's a reason they are so utterly brilliant, is because it's so difficult and they make it look easy. And yeah, so if I could do one more, if somebody wants to ever give me a present, I would go back to ABBA Voyage in an absolute heartbeat. But it is, I don't know, I love ABBA. There's everything about it. When I talk about it, it makes me smile, and I really would love to say to ABBA, thank you for the music. Working with Waterstones. So 2 books to discuss this week. I'm going to start with the positive, but they're both celebrity writings, and one's Judge Rob Rinder, and the Reverend Richard Coles. So my thoughts on celebrity writers. It's interesting because I think a lot of people do get ghostwriters. I really don't think either of these have, because I can kind of hear their voice in the way they've written, because I've watched both of them on television so much, so I can kind of hear the voice in their writing. I absolutely love Rob Rinder's book. So it's called The Protest. It's a world famous artist, a fatal brush with death, and this is the premise. Let me find that. So a star-studded opening night for the Royal Academy's celebration of renowned artist Max Bruce. Someone is hiding a dark secret. As the evening reaches its climax and Max addresses his admirers, the occasion takes a shocking turn when a protester runs from the crowd and sprays the artist with blue paint. Max collapses, and it soon turns out that the paint was laced with cyanide. Someone has been plotting to kill him. All evidence points to the protester, and newly qualified barrister Adam Green is assigned the impossible task of their defense. But could there be others who wanted Max dead? I really, really enjoyed this actually, and so it was so well written. I can hear Rob Rinders, as I said, I can hear him. And that for me is a sign of a good writer. And I've got author Carole Matthews on my show later, and again when I read her books, I can hear her voice, and I always find that for me, if it's a really good author, you can hear their voice, that they've done their job. I really enjoy this so much so that I want to read the sequel. So I was left on a bit of a cliffhanger, which was a bit frustrating, because at the end I was like, oh, what happens next? So I will definitely be reading the next one, but it's definitely worth reading Rob Rinders' books, and it's a number one best-selling book, so that's called The Protest. On the other hand, the Reverend Richard Coles, of whom I'm a huge fan. This is a number one Sunday Times bestseller as well. It's called Murder at the Monastery. I just couldn't get into it. I don't know whether it was because it was a monastery and I just found it all a bit dry. But I just didn't really enjoy it. The premise is, I'd like to know if you've read it. I'd love to know what your thoughts are actually, because obviously I'm in the minority because it's a bestseller. But even the monastery isn't safe from murder. Canon Daniel Clement has suffered a secret humiliation and flees Champton. He is soon the subject of village gossip. Taking respite at the monastery where he has a novice, he finds tensions there too are building rapidly. When a mysterious death occurs and one of the monks is killed, Daniel suspects foul play. As dark secrets unfold, can Daniel solve the murder of the monastery without the help of Detective Sergeant Neil Van Loo? Yeah, I just didn't get it. But I'd love to know, listeners, readers, viewers, what you think, and should I persevere? But both these books are available at Waterstones, Milton Keynes. And my pick of the week for Netflix is The Thursday Murder Club. If you've been living under a rock, then you would not have heard of this. But this film is absolutely everywhere. It's the number one show on Netflix at the moment, and it's based on Richard Osman's best-selling book, Thursday Murder Club. Well, there's a few of them now. So it's directed by Chris Columbus and is adapted, as I said, from his beloved novel. Delivers it's kind of cozy crime, really. And the cast, what a powerhouse cast. Oh my God, they're incredible. Helen Mirren, Pierce Brosnan, Ben Kingsley, and Celia Emery. They are just phenomenal. And it's really interesting because Helen Mirren is a retired MI5 head, and she looks all sort of very, little benevolent little old lady, but she really is anything but. Pierce Brosnan is this radical red, sort of, he's not even reformed red here. I mean, he used to, he's a proper protester, and it's really weird to see him in that kind of role, actually. He's got a full-on beard, and he's still ridiculously handsome. It's quite obscene, actually. But he's fantastic as this sort of radical left-wing protester, who sort of organises and used to organise sort of rallies. Ben Kingsley is in it, and Celia Emery as well, as a retired nurse. And there's the fantastic cast, really, really, really brilliant. They bring wit, warmth, and I think kind of an irresistible ensemble energy, often described as a senior citizen X-Men. I thought that was quite an interesting description, actually. David Tennant adds playful villainy, while Naomi Aki's youthful cop provides a welcome generational contrast. So really, really great casting, and that's what makes it so brilliant, actually. It's filmed at Englefield House in Berkshire, and this home that they're staying in, these retired people are staying in, is called Cooper's Chase, and it's very, very stately. It's described as a Hogwarts version of a retirement community. It is incredible. They have got every facility known to mankind, just everything. They've got croquet and spa and acupuncture and everything that a retirement home isn't. So clearly there's a lot of money there. So it feels kind of episodic. I did think, halfway through, I did sort of think, is this a series? Because it does feel episodic, but it's not. It's actually a film. But there's definitely room for future films. Definitely. Offers a delightful escape with charismatic performances, and as I say, definitely cozy crime with an A-list twist. For me, I actually preferred this to the book. I controversially didn't enjoy the book at all. I actually didn't even finish the book. So this is one instance where the adaptation for me has been better than the book. So again, I know there's huge fans out there of Thursday Murder Club, the book, but I'd love to know whether you preferred the movie or whether you preferred the books. But the Thursday Murder Club is on it's on Netflix, and I think it's going to be there for many weeks to come. Please stay tuned. I'm delighted to be speaking to my old friend and best-selling rom-com author, the wonderful Carole Matthews. Carole Matthews is a best-selling author of 34 romantic novels, and I've read every single one of them, and has sold over 7 million books worldwide. She received a lifetime achievement from the Romantic Novelists Association, and her book Sunny Days and Sea Breezes won the award for Romantic Comedy of the Year. She likes chocolate, don't we all? Crocheting and growing cucumbers. Welcome, Carole.
Hello, how are you, my dear?
Oh, it's so lovely to have you. I'm really good. I mean, we were talking off air about how many years we go back, and
yes.
we established it's probably nearer 25.
Yeah, certainly longer than 20, not quite 26.
Yes. It's incredible though, because you think, that's a quarter of a century. That's crazy.
I know, and we both just started out. I just started out on my book career, and you'd set up your business, your kind of styling and lifestyle. Yeah, so life has taken us in many different directions.
It really has. It really has. I'm still waiting for you to write a book about me. Just saying. But no,
I might come out of retirement for that one.
Oh, honestly, I've got so much material for you. You have no idea. Oh, you actually do have an idea. It's so lovely to have sort of seen for both of us to grow, and for our friendship to grow over the last 25 years, and to sort of see you've become so successful, but you're still exactly the same person that you were when I first met, because that's what everybody says. Carole's so lovely, she's so down to earth, and even though you've had this incredible success, you've never once pulled a lovey or a diva moment. You just don't have that. I think that's your northern roots. It's probably I
don't think either of us have changed that much.
No, just a bit older. Older and greyer. But yes, that's lovely, and I think it's wonderful if you just watch someone else's life, sort of turn out in the way that you hope it would. I mean, mine's not been quite the way I would have liked it, but for you, successfully as an author has been incredible.
It has been incredible, yeah.
Could you have ever dreamed that you would have had the success that you've got?
No, absolutely not. And I mean, the first book I was so lucky that hit the W.H. Smith Read of the Week when it was massive. It sold 75,000 copies in a week and went straight into the top 10, and I just thought every author's book did that. And it was like, of course it's a bestseller, because isn't that what people do? I just hit the right desk, the right time, the right kind of chick lit, as it was called then. I just hit that scene right, and I hit it right in the UK, and I hit it right in America. So I was very lucky.
It's always about timing, though, isn't it?
It's about timing. I kind of hope that hung on in this business for 30 years nearly, has been some talent in there as well.
Of course, and of course.
You do need that luck. You need that luck when you start out to be in the right place at the right time. And it was always kind of my motto. I very rarely said no to anything, which sometimes got me in a lot of trouble. But if you say yes, you never know what opportunities come from that. Really, be open to things in life. Really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a firm believer in saying yes to things as well. Pretty much yes to everything. And I think back in the day, I would have gone to the opening of an envelope, because it was just like, well, you never know what opportunity is going to come from this. And again, I met you by chance, because I did go to the it was a very glamorous ceremony. Was it a ceremony? Was it an award? What was it?
It was some awards thing at the theatre, wasn't it?
For Star Magazine.
For Star Magazine, and we were just saying again off there that Liz Lee was really supportive to both of us back in the day, wasn't she? And we met at something that she'd put on.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Liz. She's just one of the most wonderful people I've ever met, and she was so supportive. I know for you as well, but for me in the early days when I was just trying to get started as a stylist, setting up my business, and I had not a clue. I didn't have a business plan. I was literally winging it. I mean, I'm still winging it, if I'm really honest with you. I think most of us are, to be honest. Nobody. I know very few people who actually have a plan. But Liz was amazing, because I just remember just thinking, how can I get a break? I have no idea. And I remember picking up the phone to ring her to ask her if she'd feature me in her magazine. And I was so scared, and I rang, and then I hung up, and I rang again, and I just had to just go and just say, I'm Nancy Stevens, and I'm a new stylist, and I'd love to come and do a wardrobe weed. Yeah. And I just blurted it all out. She must have thought this woman's insane. And she said, and I said, for the magazine, she said, well, we've already got someone who works for us. And I said, yes, but what I can offer is different. And I had balls of steel then. I mean, I just kind of just carried on. And she said, okay, fine. And then I went to her house, and we did a wardrobe weed, which was photographed.
Do you know, weirdly, I remember that.
You do remember?
I do remember that.
Yeah, the double page spring style magazine.
I remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I can't remember what I did yesterday. I can't remember my own name sometimes. Thank you, menopause. But yes, I remember getting a double page spread in Style magazine, and just thinking, oh my God, it was incredible. And then 3 months later followed it up, and we did a shopping trip, and then I ended up with a column in Style magazine, Agony Aunt. And I know you worked with Style magazine for a long time, didn't you?
I did, and the thing is, I think we've been, again, going back to luck, we've been very lucky that we've had local support, because again, we were saying like Sammy Jones was great, she did the book reviews and things like that, and she always was really kind about my books. Ottica's, before it was Waterstones, were really supportive, and then Nikki at Waterstones, when she was there, couldn't have been a bigger supporter of my books like yourself. So we've always had, good local support, which is invaluable, isn't it?
Absolutely, and again, sort of, I work with Waterstones on a weekly basis now, and it is such a one. I'm so glad that books it feels, we fell out of love with reading for a while, didn't we? And we all thought we were going to go to Kindle, and and bookshops were closing down.
In lockdown, I didn't read anything. I just completely lost concentration, and I just didn't read a thing for years. So it's not that long since my love of reading has come back.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I would totally agree with you. I mean, I'm obsessed with reading now, and read sort of 1 or 2 books a week, time permitting. But again, I'm lucky because I go into Waterstones every week, and I get to pick lovely books. So I am a very, very lucky girl. Well, we're both lucky girls. There's so much to talk about because we realised that actually it's 25 years since we met, and all the stuff that we've been through together, and your love life has stayed calm, and you were still with lovely Kev, who's just the most amazing person.
I was third time lucky.
Third time lucky.
We've been together 26 years.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we got married 7 years ago.
Yeah. I've not done so well, have I?
No, you've had it more colourful, I would say.
Yeah, God.
It's a good chat over a glass of wine, though.
It really is, and as I say, I'm still waiting for you to write a book about my love life. It's interesting though, because obviously your characters, it generally starts when they're feeling sort of not, feeling a bit sorry for themselves, and they've been on their own, and they meet, and but. I wish it was like that in real life, because it hasn't been like that for me.
No.
And I want you to write a story that maybe will make it happen. Do you know what I mean? Like positive manifestation.
Put it out into the universe for you.
Yes.
But in my books, the man is never the fix. They always sort the problems out themselves, and a man is a bonus.
That is true.
They never come to the point where they're relying on a man to make them happy, because that way disaster lies.
That is true, and that actually for me has been a bit of a sticking point. Actually, I think in the past I have been sort of I love the love bombing, I love the adulation, the adoration at the beginning of the relationship, and then obviously that's not sustainable.
No.
And then you find out actually that they're not a particularly nice person when you live with them. So I've recognised that pattern now. But as you're absolutely 100% right, the man is not the fix; it's the bonus. And I feel like the last year that I've been on my own, I've worked on myself. I feel like I'm a work in progress, but I feel like I'm close to being fixed, and then if I do meet someone, I'm in a better place. But I've thought that the last 2 relationships I thought I was in a good place. So I've got my act together. Yes, I'm feeling really good. I'm happy single. I've everything's good, and I've met the person that I thought was going to be my person, and absolute utter unmitigated car crash. So what's that about?
I don't know, my love. I just write the books. I have no handle on relationships at all.
My love life. But seriously,
it is quite funny in that people often say to me, "Where do you get the inspiration for books?" And it is all around, because people generally have quite complicated lives. Yeah, just kind of scratch below the surface, and most people have had difficulties, tragedies, you know, real highs and lows. Life is not a linear happy, is it?
No.
And that's, I guess, you know, what my interest is. And quite a lot of my books come from sitting next to somebody at a dinner party or something, you know, some event with a glass of warm white wine, and they tell you their story, and you think, actually, you know, there's a lot of mileage in that.
Yeah, and I guess, getting that inspiration, that nugget of information that will just, is that where it starts? You just sort of think, that gem of an idea, that I could write about that. Does it,
yes.
Do you know straight away, you think, there's a book?
It is. It is straight. It's usually straight away that you know there's going to be a book in there. And then, you know, if it is kind of a close to life story, which a couple of the books have been very close to kind of true stories, you obviously ask the permission of the person. I mean, the most close book like that was Paper Hearts, and that was the story of my friend Christine and her son. Her son went through a terrible illness, and she said, "How are you going to make this funny? I know your books. How are you going to make it funny?" But we did, and we had such a lovely time doing it together and promoting it together. It was really great, and they got their happy ending in real life, and the book had one too. So, yeah, sometimes you just kind of know that it's a good story. That's why I never say never. I'm kind of retired now, but you know, one morning I might kind of wake up and think I have to write
Nancy's
this.
story needs to be told.
Yeah. The trouble is, I mean, the difficulty is with writing as a career now. You know, I was spending 60 hours a week in an office and not sleeping 3 nights of the week, doing an insomnia shift. I used to get up about 1, 2 in the morning and work through to 6 o'clock 3 nights a week. And it's kind of not sustainable, really. And when it got to lockdown, like a lot of people, I kind of went, you know, a bit mad in the head. And I gave my book in the July of lockdown. And just then sat in the garden and, you know, kind of stayed away from the world. And at the end of it, I thought, I could actually do this. The thought of going back to work was kind of not appealing anymore. And so we thought we'd give it a go. And here we are, however many years later. And, you know, I still do a little bit, but I don't write books anymore.
You know, I guess when it stops being, you know, stop having that love affair, and it ends up being a chore, and you, as you say, you're working crazy hours and not sleeping, then there's no joy in it.
But there was joy in it. That was the weird thing. I didn't not enjoy it. I didn't, and I would have, had it not been for lockdown, I would have carried on doing that till they put me in my box, I think. It was just getting off that treadmill, although it was a nice, comfortable, enjoyable treadmill. You know, you're kind of deadline to deadline, and I have been for 20 odd years. And you don't even think about an alternative. And it was only the fact that we had that awful period. It makes you stop and think, what is life about? And, you know, without being kind of too dark, we were very fortunate. We didn't lose anybody, and we weren't particularly ill ourselves. But it wasn't the same for everyone. Some people had, you know, terrible losses, and you're suddenly faced with the fact that this could be it. You think, what do I want to do? Do I want to spend 60 hours a week in an office, or do I want to get an allotment? Which is what I ended up doing.
And I love that. And you've turned, and you know, what was potentially a negative situation into a positive, and you know, cucumbers are your, you know.
Well, the allotment was a bit of a mistake, really, because I was thinking, you probably have to wait about 2 years for an allotment. I'll put my name down, and about a fortnight later they rang up and said, you can come and look at 4. It's like, oh.
Wow.
So, it's a bit like my book career, really. It kind of happened before I'd expected it to.
Oh, I absolutely love that. We talked about lockdown and where it all changed for you then. But prior to that, I mean, you had this incredible career. I mean, you wrote 34 amazing books, of which I read all of them. That I think your books, as you say, you hit the zeitgeist. It was the right place, right time. And, you know, luck obviously does come into it, but obviously a huge amount of talent as well. What advice would you give for people who are aspiring writers, because you know not everybody has that luck, and also it's about, you know, it's about timing, isn't it?
It is about timing, and I think the danger is people can follow trends, and by the time you've followed the trend, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I was just fortunate that what I was writing came in fashion at that point. Whereas if you kind of try and, cosy crime is the thing now. Well, if you start writing a cosy crime book now and submit it, the publishers will have moved on to something else by the time that you get there. So you should always write what... it sounds cheesy, but you should always write what is in your heart, what inspires you to get at your computer or your pencil and paper or whatever medium you choose. Write what you want to write. And if it's a good enough story, you can go down the traditional publishing route, or, increasingly people are self-publishing now, because it's very easy to do. Still very hard to market, but it's actually very easy to self-publish a book now.
You are right, and every single author I've ever interviewed has said, write what you know, write what you love. And as you say, Cozy Crime, I reviewed Thursday Murder Club just before you came on air, and Richard Osman's book has been so successful, and the adaptation for Netflix I thought was better than the book personally. Have you seen it?
Haven't seen it yet. No, I enjoyed the book, but didn't enjoy it enough to have read the subsequent ones.
No.
But I mean, again, I think if you're going to hit massive success like that, you have got to be the first of that genre, and his was very much the kind of first big book in that genre, and everything else has kind of tailed along behind. There's not going to be another massive hit like that one in that.
No, that must be hard for authors to just, look at sort of the wake of his success and think, as you say, there's never going to be someone as successful. And when I had Professor David Wilson in last week, he was talking about sort of, the fact that cozy crime is the thing now. And then sort of 70s and 80s, it was the sort of the dark crime as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously, but it started with sort of Agatha Christie back in the 1930s, sort of queen of crime, really.
But when I started, you couldn't sell a crime book.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre, isn't it, that these things come and go.
Timing and Helen Fielding, Bridget Jones, it was all that era, and I think it was a particular moment in history and time that we were, women were sort of. It just felt like women were sort of finding their voice and maybe not putting up with so much nonsense that they maybe previously put up with before. And I think, as I say, you hit right place, right time, and there was such a thirst for those kind of rom-com chick lit novels, wasn't there?
It was, and that, again, I did particularly well in America because the Americans are just buying up British books in that genre, hand over fist. So I was very fortunate to hit that wave over there as well, because that's quite unusual.
Timing.
I had a TV book club pick over there, which was just phenomenal. It went from something like number 637,000 on Amazon to number 3 in the same day as they announced it. So
that's phenomenal.
Paid for my house.
Happy days.
And you can't plan that, can you? That was just one of her producers. It was a show called Regis and Kelly.
That's kind of a big show.
It is a big show. Yes, I had to go on the show, which I still have nightmares about. But her producer had just happened to have read For Better For Worse and said, "This is a great book, we should have this." And she came and went, "Yeah, okay."
Fantastic.
And I just got a phone call saying, "You need to come to America to go on this show because they've picked your book." And as I say, when they announced it, it went straight into the bestseller list and on the New York Times Extended USA Today bestseller list. So
pinch me moment.
I know, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How did you feel about?
I paid for it by going on the show. Just as I was about to go on, they'd mic'd me up, and I was about to go on the floor, and it was a live audience of about 200-300, and being American, they were all whooping and hollering, and I'm thinking, oh, what am I doing here? I kind of turn into Julie Andrews when I go to America on shows like that.
And all RP.
I get kind of more and more British, as you know. And he sort of mic'd me up, and I was going to go and be questioned about my book, and he said, "Do you know this goes out live to 60 million Americans?" And I didn't. And I really wish he hadn't told me that just as I was about to go on the floor, because I was like a rabbit caught in the headlights. Wow. I was like,
God,
completely traumatised.
That's insane. I mean, those kind of numbers now are just incomprehensible, aren't
they? They are. And I don't know what they said to me. I don't know what I said to them.
Don't remember a thing.
It was just, We came off air and they said, I said to Kevin, "I need to go to a bar and drink now." And it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. And he's like, "Yeah, fine." And they said, "Oh, no, don't go. You can meet somebody lovely." And it's like, "No, Kevin, I need a drink now." And so we left. And I missed meeting Dustin Hoffman.
Oh, okay. Not the best move you've ever made.
But I did have 2 glasses of Prosecco by 8:30.
Bless you. Oh, it's all about timing, though. In that instance, you missed out.
I paid my dues for that, I think.
That's such a great story. 7 million books. I mean, that's
a lot of books.
That's a hell of a lot of books. Yeah. And obviously your books have been translated into different languages.
Yeah.
And that must be amazing.
It was 33 different languages at one point.
That's insane, isn't
which
it?
I didn't think there were 33 different languages, but yeah. And some of them you think, what do they get out of very kind of British romantic comedy? As sold in China, Korea, used to do really well in Ukraine. But yeah, I guess love is a universal thing.
Love is all around.
Yeah, it is.
But it's interesting, as you say, because I think your books have got that very British feel about them. But as you say, love is universal, and it'd be really, really interesting if one understood the language to see how it translated culturally.
Yeah,
because it is culturally your books are quintessentially quite British.
Yeah.
And obviously, because I know you, I can hear your voice. And I said that earlier. It's like, for me, if a book resonates, I can hear the author's voice, and and with your books, that's why I loved your books, because it was just you. I could hear your voice, and I could, if you'd done an audio book, it would have just been wonderful. Yeah. Did you do audio?
I never read my own books. I used to do an introductory letter at the beginning of them, but I never read my own books. It's quite an art.
Yes.
You've got your little studio here to be shut in a studio that's probably a quarter of this size for a week or more reading an audiobook takes some nerve. I used to do 5 minutes to do my introductory letter, and that was enough. Soundproof box as well. It's very, very, very odd. So hats off to people that do audio. I think it's quite hard.
Yeah, I think again, it's made to look easy because it's done by the right people.
Yeah.
But we were talking off air about sort of celebrity writers, and I'd sort of reviewed Rob Rinder and Richard Cole's books earlier. And I quite enjoyed Rob Rinder's. I wasn't a big fan of Richard Cole's. But I know that, and we talked about ghostwriting. I talked about ghostwriting, and I know you can't divulge, but would you say a lot of celebrity writings are written by
ghostwriters? A lot of ghostwriters do the celebrity books, and I can kind of tend to avoid them. I mean, I'm just reading at the moment Bob Mortimer's The Satsuma Complex, which is quite clearly written by him.
Okay.
It's so bonkers. And funny enough, I've just downloaded the audio because I would actually prefer to hear him speak it. To me, it's a book that is written as a performance, not to be read.
Right, okay.
And so I've just downloaded that to listen to him read it. It's him and Sally Phillips, so I think that should be quite good.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
but yeah, I've had a bit of it, again, with lockdown. I just lost my reading mojo completely, and it's taken me a long time to get it back, and I've done it through mainly the historical route. So I've been reading the C.J. Sanson Tudor series.
You've always loved the Tudor period, haven't you?
I'm obsessed. Yeah. We went to Hampton Court when I was about 9 or 10 with primary school, and it started a lifelong love of all things Tudory. So I've just read the C.J. Sanson 7 books in the series of Shardlake, and it's very sad. He's died. C.J. Sanson died earlier this year or last year, only in his early 70s, and he was halfway through his 8th book. So I hope they find someone who will complete that in his style for him. Great writer, really interesting, and it's about not only the royalty of the Tudor period, which a lot is written about, but it's about the ordinary lives of Tudors too, and I've really enjoyed that. And then I read the Alison Weir book about Henry VIII, Heart and the Crown, or Crown and the Heart, which was good. But I've thought, right, I'm going back contemporary, so I picked up Bob Mortimer.
Okay, so, that's one extreme to
the other, isn't it? Yeah.
So are you a big fan of the musical Six?
Yes, really good, isn't it?
Yeah,
brilliant,
really, really clever.
Yeah.
I guess if you've written a musical, you'd like to have written that.
Oh yes, absolutely fabulous. And if I'd written a show in general, I would have liked to have written Ghost Story 222, because I think that is a perfect piece of drama.
I'm hoping to go and see that in a couple of weeks. Yes. I've not seen it yet.
Yeah. It's really, really worth seeing it if you can. It's scary. It's kind of scary but funny.
Not too jumpy?
Yeah, it's quite jumpy.
God. I'm warning you now, who's ever coming with me to see 222 and at Milton Keynes Theatre, you're going to pray that you're not sitting around me, because I am the jumpiest person in the world. And
Me too.
Shocking.
And my friend said she's seen it about 3 times and she still jumps in the same places. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I saw, I think it was The Woman in Black, just,
Oh, yes.
oh my
Yeah.
God. But I'm one of these people, you can say, I'm going to give you a fright.
Yeah. And you go,
And you
jump.
I would still jump out of my skin. But
Well, one of my ex-husbands, his company had a touring theatre that used to go around in the summer, and one year they did Women in Black, and the deal was we took his customers and clients and that to see it on a Friday night, every Friday. So I saw Women in Black, I don't know, a dozen times, and I still jumped every time.
I'm glad I'm not
I've seen
the
this
only
every
one.
week. I know what's happening.
I'm such a wuss. And when I don't know about you, when I'm watching, I do love a psychological drama on telly, but when I'm watching something that is quite scary, I have to turn the music off, because it's the music that is the scary bit.
Is it?
I can watch someone being stalked or bludgeoned to death and be okay about it.
As long as there's no music. I'm all right if I've got a cushion. I get a cushion.
Right.
Because that's really going to help.
Yeah, I know you're peering through your fingers like yeah. No, it's really interesting, but
I do like being scared. I like a ghost story too. I love reading ghost stories. So yeah.
I do like a psychological drama. I'm not a big fan of ghost story, but I'm really looking forward to 222.
Yeah.
So that should be good. We're talking off air, Carole, about AI and the fact that it's for authors and many jobs. It's actually proving not to be the best happy ending, is it?
I think the difficulty is, I mean, it's moving so fast. I think it's quite hard for real people to keep up with it. And we were just saying, all of my books have been scraped by AI, and it's a multi-million pound corporation that's done it with no permissions. It's just taken everybody's work, and there's very little you can do about it. There are lots of protests, particularly in the music industry. Which is the same thing has happened, but it's tough. I mean, some people would say you can use it as a creative tool, but I think it's going to cost jobs in the future. Translators are finding already that books are being translated by AI, not by human beings. So it's what is the end result of all this, really? I think it's going to be a lot harder for people to earn money as full-time artists, whether it's writers, musicians, art creators. I think that's going to be really hard going forward, which is scary. I feel that, I've been, again, we talk about luck quite a lot today, but I've been lucky to have my career when I did, which was kind of not quite the golden era of publishing, but pretty close to it. But now it's tough. It's tough out there, and I do feel sorry for people who want to be full-time writers. Because let's face it. I started like that. I did a full-time job. I was a beauty therapist in real life, and then I went home and worked kind of 4 or 5 hours at night to get my book written, to get it published. But that's very hard to do permanently. And I did that for 4 years before I was published, and I could afford to live full-time off my writing income. I worry in future that there won't be enough payment for full-time writers, and it'll become a kind of a paid hobby, which is
it's really
scary.
sad, isn't it?
Scary, yeah.
But on a brighter note, let's have a look at some of the books you brought in.
So this was my last one I wrote, which was called Sunny Days and Sea Breezes, and it was set on the Isle of Wight. And I loved the Isle of Wight because it's like going 50
Back in
years.
time.
It is.
So
Yes. You kind
yes.
of feel like you're going abroad because you go on a boat. And I absolutely loved it. And Sunny Days and Sea Breezes, it's 2 houseboats that are moored next to each other in Bembridge Harbour. And I think this is one of my loveliest books. It's a really lovely story set there. So that was kind of my last published one. And then 2 that we had great fun with was Happiness for Beginners and Christmas for Beginners, and this was set on a farm. Again, it's quite true to life. It's a farm that supports and educates disadvantaged and children with special needs, and they go there to learn, and they look after the animals, and they could do MVQs in animal care and things like that. really lovely learning environment. And when I was introduced to the farm, they were just having to move because HS2 was going through their land. So it's kind of based around the struggles with that. And then I enjoyed writing it so much that we did a follow-up, Christmas for Beginners. It's full of naughty animals, naughty alpacas in particular. So yeah, I had great fun writing those two. And these two were both nominated for Comedy of the Year. Had 3 nominations in 1 year, which, hey, go me.
Wow, amazing.
And that one won. That got Comedy of the Year. So yeah, if you haven't read my books and you want to start somewhere, start with these.
They are lovely. It is very hard to choose. I mean, one of my favourites were the Chocolate Lovers Club. I love them.
And that's been my biggest series worldwide, really. There was 4 books based around 4 women, the friendship of 4 women whose kind of mutual love of chocolate kind of holds them together. And it's all the trials and tribulations of their lives. And I had great fun writing that. And if there's a book still in my head, it is another Chocolate Lovers
I think
book.
so.
I didn't quite finish off that series.
Yes.
And I worry, sometimes you worry about your characters, and I still think about what those women are doing. So, yeah, never say never.
I loved it. And also film rights, because I know that's a long process, isn't it?
Company Manchester have got all of my film and TV rights at the moment and are going to see what they can do with them. But again, it's tough out there. The money for the arts is really, really kind of hard to get hold of. So, but they're going to give it a go and see what they can do with my books. They're selling really, really well in Scandinavia at the moment, which is lovely. Thank you, Norway.
And you're still getting the royalties. That's the great thing. So you can really enjoy your retirement with the royalties. And obviously all your books are still available on Amazon at Waterstones, Milton Keynes, and and they are such delightful books. And I don't think they're going to date, because it is, everybody wants that happy ever after. And you write so beautifully, and your characters are also likable. And again, I've always said this: if a character is likable, it resonates, I'll be invested in the book, and I want to find out what happens, and you've always done that tenfold.
Thank you. And I'm still on social media. I do a lot on social media still, so you can find out not only about what's up to with my books, but also how my courgettes are doing.
There's so many things I can say to that. Just so much I could say to that. Thank you, Carole. As always, an absolute joy to catch up, and I'll definitely see you at the theatre in a couple of weeks' time as well, hopefully for 222. But
Thank you for having me, lovely.
Oh, no,
it's nice.
It's been an absolute joy, and we've come full circle, haven't we?
We have.
From a radio perspective as well as everything else. But as I said, Carole's books are available at Waterstones, Milton Keynes, and on Amazon. Next week's guests, talking about love, are Samantha Paul and Rachel Allen from Solo Connects, and it's National Singles Week coming up, and I'm going to go to an event, so I shall let you know how that goes. I'm slightly trepidatious, I'm not going to lie, but stay tuned for next week. See what the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show is going to bring. If you like my show, please follow, like, or leave a review. I'm available to contact at _NancyMK_ on Instagram. I'm wishing you the most amazing week. Thank you.